Hi guys, so today we're going to be doing slopes of lines. Before we get started with the examples, this should be a review for you, but the slope of a line is the ratio of its vertical rise to its horizontal run. So slope, we often describe it as rise over run. Right? Since rise deals with the y, our slope formula, m equals rise on top, so rise is with y, so that's why it's y2 minus y1, over run, which is our x value, so that's why it's x2 minus x1, okay? And so this is the slope formula, okay? So let's get started with a couple of them. In example 1, and then we're good to go. Okay. So when it's given a graph, you actually might not even need the formula, okay? Because what you can do is you can go from one point to the other. So I'm going from this point to this point. I go up 1, 2, 3, 4. I went up 4, and then I went to the right 1, 2, right 2. So up 4 over right 2. Up is positive. Right is also positive, so 4 over 2 is 2, and there's my slope, okay? If it did not give me a graph, no problem, I could still get the slope. I just pick one point to be x1, y1, and the other point to be x2, y2, and I plug it into the formula. So m equals y2 minus y1, so 2 minus negative 2. 2 minus negative 2 over negative 1 minus negative 3. Okay, so you need to keep it consistent. If this one is x1, this has to be y1. If this is x2, this has to be y2. Okay, so that's a common mistake, so make sure that you place it in the correct position. Okay, so minus a negative is plus, so 2 plus 2 is 4. Minus a negative again is plus, so negative 1 plus 3 is 2. 4 over 2 is 2. And you'll see that I got the same answer. You might be asking, but Miss Ng, what if instead of making this x1, y1, I made it x2, y2, and I made this one x1, y1? Okay, you'll see you'll still get the same thing. Okay, so even if I did this one as y2, negative 2 minus 2, and then x2, negative 3 minus negative 1. Negative 2 minus 2 is negative 4. Again, minus a negative here is plus, so negative 3 plus 1 is negative 2. And negative 4 divided by negative 2 is positive 2. You see, you'll still get the correct answer. Okay? The only way you would probably get it wrong is if your addition subtraction is wrong, or if you mixed it as x1 and y2. You cannot do that. That's when you'll get it wrong. Okay? So since we're mostly going to be using the formula and not the graph, I'll be using the formula as well. Okay, so here's our next one. We have negative 4, 0, and 0, negative 1. I'm going to make one point x1, y1, and the other one x2, y2. Then I plug it into the formula. y2 minus y1, so negative 1 minus 0. x2 minus x1, 0 minus negative 4. Okay, negative 1 minus 0 is negative 1. Minus negative is plus, so 0 plus 4 is 4. And so my slope is negative 1/4. All right. Next one here, negative 3, 5, and 1, 5. x1, y1, x2, y2. Plug it into my formula. y2 minus y1, so 5 minus 5. x2 minus x1, 1 minus negative 3. 5 minus 5 is 0. Minus negative is plus. 1 plus 3 is 4. 0 divided by 4 is 0. So my slope is 0. Okay. The reason why is because you don't move up or down. So that's why it's 0 for the rise. But you are moving left and right, which is why you have another number other than 0 on the bottom. Okay. But 0 divided by any number is 0. And what you'll see is a horizontal line is always zero slope. Okay. So what about a vertical line? Okay, so again, one of them is x1, y1, the other one is x2, y2. Okay. Y2 minus y1, so negative 1 minus 3. X2 minus x1, 6 minus 6. Negative 1 minus 3 is negative 4. 6 minus 6 is 0. Any number divided by 0 is undefined. And so what you'll see is that vertical lines always have undefined slopes. Okay? Because you're moving up and down, but you're not moving right or left. Okay? So why don't you try CYP 1A and 1B and come check your answer when you're done. Okay, so for 1A, you should have gotten negative 1/3, and for 1B, you should have gotten negative 1/14. Okay, so let's do the next one. Okay, so example 2 says, refer to the information at the left. If sales of fitness equipment increase at the same rate, what will the total sales be in 2010? Right? So here, this is the information at the left. Between 2000 and 2003, annual sales of exercise equipment increased by an average rate of 314.3 million per year. In 2003, the total sales were 4,553 million. Okay? So what we're going to do is we have the slope, right? Because here it says average rate, that is a slope, right? Something per something is a slope. So this is our slope. Okay. And then we're given a point. We're given 2003 and then 4,453 million. So we can think of it as 2003, 4,553. Okay. So we can think about this as x1, y1. And to find what it would be in 2010, this 2010 will be our x2, and we just need to figure out what y2 is. Right? So let's use the slope formula where m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Our slope, we're going to plug in as 314.3, 314.3. Y2, we don't know yet, minus our Y1, which is 4,553, over X2, which is 2010, minus X1, 2003. So again, where did I get this information? This is the 2010, that was in yellow. This 314.3 came from average rate, because rate of change is another way we say slope. And then this is that point here, 2003, 4,453. Okay, so let's get solving. Right. So let's simplify the 2010 minus 2003. Y2 minus 4,553. 2010 minus 2003 is 7. Okay. Fractions are division problems, so you can think of this as divide by 7. So to move it to the other side, I'm going to multiply by 7. Okay. And 7 times 3, 14.3. This becomes 2200.1 equals y sub 2 minus 4,553, because the times 7 and the divide by 7 undo each other. Then last, I just need to move this 4,553 over by adding it to both sides. 4,553. Okay. And that gives me 6753.1 equals y sub 2. So let me answer the question. What will the total sales be in 2010? The total sales will be $6753.1 million in 2010. Okay. Saying y sub 2 is this does not answer my question, right? You wouldn't say if someone asked you, how old are you? You wouldn't say x equals 14, right? So same thing, right? You need to answer it in a question, or at least $6,753.1 million or something like that, okay? Okay. So why don't you try CYP2, and then once you're done, come check your answer. Okay, you should have gotten 920 million songs will be legally downloaded in 2008. If you got that right, move on to example 3. If not, here's your explanation. Okay, so in 2004, 200 million songs were legally downloaded from the internet. So then I wrote a point, 2004, comma, 200. Okay. In 2003, I had a typo here. It should be 20 million songs were legally downloaded. And so the point would be 2003, comma, 20. Okay. If this increases at the same rate, so this is talking about the slope, how many songs then would be legally downloaded in 2008? So first, I need to figure out what the rate is before I can apply it to answer the question. Okay, so I found the slope. Right, I made this x2 y2, and this one x1 y1, and plugged it in. 200 minus 20 is 180. 2004 minus 2003 is 1. 180 over 1 is 180. So that means we're increasing at 180 million songs per year. And so that's my slope. Right? Then, since my question is asking how many songs, how many Y, will be downloaded if the year was 2008, that's the X. I plugged that in for X2 and Y2 here. And then I just chose the pink point here, the 2004 200. Okay. So then I simplified. 2008 minus 2004 is 4. Got rid of the divide by 4 by multiplying by 4 on both sides. 4 times 180 is 720. And then the 4 divide by 4 times 4 undo each other, leaving me with y sub 2 minus 200. And then got rid of the minus 200 by adding 200 on both sides, and that gave me 920. Okay, and again, you can't just say y sub 2 equals 920. That means nothing, right? You need to explain what that means or write it in a sentence or something. So that's why here I have 920 million songs will be legally downloaded in 2008. Okay? Okay, so the next thing is on parallel, perpendicular, or neither lines. Okay? So here, so what we know, two non-vertical lines have the same slope if and only if they are parallel. So what it's telling you is parallel lines have the same slope. Okay? Two non-vertical lines are perpendicular if and only if the product of their slopes is -1. Or another way to think about it is that perpendicular lines have what we call opposite reciprocal or negative reciprocal slopes. Okay, so here we're going to determine whether AB and CD are parallel, perpendicular, or neither. Right? So I need to find the slopes. Okay? So I'm going to start off with the slope for AB. So AB's slope. Okay. So y2 minus y1, I'm going to do 7 minus -5. And then x2 minus x1, 4 minus -2. Right? 7 minus -5 is 7 plus 5, which is 12. And then 4 minus -2 is 6. 12 divided by 6 is 2. So AB's slope is 2. Okay? Then let's find out what CD's slope is. Okay, so same thing, y2 minus y1, so -2 minus 2, and then x2 minus x1, so 8 minus 0. Negative 2 minus 2 is negative 4. 8 minus 0 is 8. Simplify that. That becomes negative 1/2. And so here, what you can see, the slope is not the same. So that means it's not parallel. However, they are opposite or negative reciprocals, right? They're opposite signs. This one's positive. This one's negative. And they are the reciprocal, the flips of each other, right? Because 2 is 2 over 1. Flip it, and you get 1 over 2. And so because they are opposite reciprocals, they are perpendicular. And the reason why is because they have opposite reciprocal slopes, or if you multiply the slopes together, you get negative 1. Opposite reciprocal slopes. Okay. Let's try the next one. Okay. So again, let's start with the slope of AB. Okay. Y2 minus Y1, negative 4 minus negative 7. X2 minus X1, 4 minus negative 8. Okay. Minus and negative is plus, and negative 4 plus 7 is 3. 4 minus negative 8 minus negative is plus, so 4 plus 8, that's 12. 3 over 12 is 1/4. Okay, so that's my AB slope. Okay, then our CD slope, Y2 minus Y1, so 7 minus negative 5. And then X2 minus X1, 1 minus negative 2. Minus a negative is plus, so 7 plus 5 is 12. Minus a negative is plus, so 1 plus 2, that's 3. So this is 4. Okay. Not the same, so not parallel. They are not, even though they're reciprocals, right? They're the flips of each other. They are not opposite reciprocals or negative reciprocals. So that means they're not perpendicular. So that means it's neither. Reason? Slopes are not the same. You don't have to write the reason, but you should know the reason if someone asks, right? Or if I ask you to explain. So neither, because slopes are not the same, or opposite reciprocals. Right, and there you go. Okay, so why don't you try 3A and 3B and then come check your answer when you're done. Okay, you should have gotten neither for 3A and parallel for 3B. If you got that right, you can move on to example 4. If not, here's your explanation. So AB slope, 0 minus 13, negative 11 minus 14 gives me negative 13 over negative 25. Simplifies to 13 over 25. So that's AB's slope. CD here, negative 5 minus 7, negative 4 minus negative 3. Negative 5 minus 7 is negative 12. Negative 4 minus negative 3 is negative 1. Simplifies to 12. These are not the same, so not parallel. They're not opposite reciprocals. So they're not perpendicular, so that means they are neither. Okay. AB slope, 2 minus 6 is negative 4. Negative 9 minus 3 is negative 12. Simplify that. That becomes 1/3. Slope for CD here. Slope. Right. 3 minus negative 6 is 9. 15 minus negative 12 is 27. 9 over 27 simplifies to 1/3. They are the same, and so they are parallel. Okay. So here's the next part. Okay. So here it asks me to graph the line that contains P, negative 2, 1, and is perpendicular to JK, with J at negative 5, negative 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's J. K is at 0, negative 2, so that is here. So here's K, J. Let me just connect them. Okay. Okay. So I want to find the line that contains negative 2, 1. So P is at negative 2, 1, just here. And I want it to be perpendicular to JK. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to do is find JK's slope. So JK slope. Right. Then the y2 minus y1, so negative 2 minus negative 4. And then 0 minus negative 5. Negative 2 minus negative 4, that's plus, and negative 2 plus 4 is 2. 0 minus negative 5 is plus, so 0 plus 5 is 5. So 2/5, which means that my perpendicular slope should be opposite signs. So since this is positive, this one will be negative. And then since it's 2 over 5, I'm going to flip it, and it's going to be 5 over 2. Okay? And so what that means is now I'm going to go down 5, because I'm going to assign negative only to either the top or the bottom. It's up to me. I generally choose top, so I'm going to go down 5, and then right 2. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go down 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and right 2. Okay. And then I'm going to connect them. And there you go. It is perpendicular. Right? And then in our next lesson, we're going to learn how to write the equations for this. Okay, so why don't you try CYP4 and then come check your answer. Okay, this is what you should have gotten. P is at 0, 1, and then your slope should be 3/2. So you go up 3, right 2, and connect the dots. There's your line. Okay, that's it for today. Have a great rest of the day. Bye, guys.